Let's look at the type of planting tools we should use. There are several different types of tools, but two of the most common ones are the dibble bar and the hodad. Watch as this planter shows the proper technique involved when using a dibble bar. Be sure to bend your knees and to keep your back as straight as possible when you are planting to avoid hurting yourself. Insert the dibble straight down into the soil to the full depth of the blade and pull back on the handle to open the planting hole. Remove the dibble and push the seedling roots deep into the planting hole. Pull the seedling back up to the correct planting depth. The root collar should be 1 to 3 inches or 3 to 7 centimeters below the soil surface. Gently shake the seedling to allow the roots to straighten out. Do not twist or spin the seedling or leave the roots in a J position. Insert the dibble several inches behind the seedling and push the blade halfway into the soil. Twist and push the handle forward to close the top of the slit to hold the seedling in place. Push the dibble down to the full depth of the blade. Pull back on the handle to close the bottom of the planting hole. Then push forward to close the top, eliminating air pockets around the root. Remove the dibble and close and firm up the opening with your heel. Be careful to avoid damaging the seedling. Another common tool for tree planting is the hodad. To use a hodad, strike the blade almost vertically, the full depth of the blade, into the soil. Pull back up on the handle to break the soil loose at the bottom of the hole. Be careful, avoid raising the handle more than a few inches. The hole will fill with soil and the seedling will be shallow rooted if you do this. Slide your hand down the handle almost to the blade. Pull back and down on the handle to form a pocket on the far side of the blade. With the other hand, immediately roll the seedling roots into the pocket to the full depth of the hole. Be sure to check that the roots are not J-rooted. Hold the seedling in place while you slide the hodad blade out of the hole. Loose soil should fall into the hole, helping to hold the seedling. Pull the blade completely out of the hole and push the soil against the planted tree with the tip of the blade. Use your foot to firm the soil against the seedling. Do not step on or bruise the seedling with your foot. In describing how to plant a seedling, we mentioned that you should not leave the roots in a J position. Trees that are J-rooted may have poor survival, and you do not want to do this. Here are some examples of trees that have been J-rooted. One of the biggest causes of J-rooting is planting the seedling too shallow. Pay careful attention to the depth of the hole. Make certain that your hole is the full length of the planting bar. Another important thing to remember when planting is to close the hole tightly. If air is allowed to stay in the hole, the roots will dry out and the tree will die. To check that your tree is in the hole correctly, gently tug on the 3 top needles. If the tree is planted correctly, it will not move. If the tree lifts up, try closing the hole again. At the beginning, we mentioned the need to have proper spacing for the trees to grow into the best trees they can be. Different sites and landowners may require different spacing specifications. The most important thing to remember is to remain consistent on each individual site. Understanding the importance of proper spacing is essential, especially when planting on rough terrain. Old fields should not be too much of a problem, but difficulties may arise in cutovers. A supervisor should always be present on the worksite to help you maintain the correct spacing. The supervisor should periodically check to make sure that your trees are not only in the right place, but they are also planted properly. Whatever the spacing is in the beginning, be sure to keep it uniform throughout the whole area. If the trees are planted the same distance apart from each other, they should all have similar heights and diameters as they mature. The ultimate goal is that a certain product is produced, a uniform forest. But what about in an area that has been harvested? Many times, debris left over from the logging operation makes it very difficult to plant the trees in the exact right place. How do you deal with this? The best thing for the tree is to be planted in good soil. If you can't plant a tree because a stump is where you should be planting the tree, or if there is too much debris, find the closest place that you can plant that tree. If we had to rank the most important thing to remember when planting a tree, proper planting techniques would be first, and spacing second. If the tree is not planted right and it dies, it does not matter if it was planted in the right position or not. We've mentioned that proper planting techniques applies to all kinds of trees, pines and hardwoods. Hardwood trees typically are larger and may take more time to plant than pine trees, but the process is still the same. You now have the knowledge to be a successful planter and help produce a strong, healthy future forest. If you use proper planting techniques and take care of your seedlings before and during planting, you can feel confident that your small seedlings may one day grow up to look like these. And always remember, your safety comes first. Be sure to wear gloves, long-sleeve shirts, and pants made of strong, tear-resistant material. Warm up your muscles before beginning work for the day, and don't forget to stretch at the end of the day too. When planting, be sure to use only the best trees and make sure they stay protected from wind and sun. Keep them moist by placing them directly in your planting bag. Don't forget to always use proper planting techniques and to space the trees out uniformly throughout the whole site. In just a few years, the seedlings that you have cared for today will grow up to make a strong forest for the future.